Guys, make sure you stick around for the full video. It is going to be a relatively lengthy one. We're going to be talking about Tim Pool's anger towards DeSantis on a certain issue and see if it's actually justified. Also, one more thing, too. I need to go ahead and get this out here that this video right here is going to be mostly talk about the fact that if you have the power of the legislation, then you obviously can make certain things illegal that, quite frankly, should be made illegal. Also, something else, too. The topic of woke beer companies has came up again, so we're going to talk about that more at the very end of the video, so make sure you guys stick around for the full piece. Guys, this right here is going to be a relatively lengthy video, and we're going to be spending a good portion of it behind the computer this time because you know, it's funny, I mentioned Tim Pool in the first video that came out, but here I am about to mention him again because we got to ask him the question. You got to ask that question. Is Tim Pool's little rage rant from yesterday, is it actually justified in this case? Okay, guys, we need to see if Tim's anger is justified here in this situation. Now, guys, you see a situation like what I'm about to show you now, and it's obviously pretty bad. Nobody is a fan of child abuse. Nobody is a fan of child molestation, and I understand Tim's anger, but I need to go ahead and say this right here. From all the information that I am seeing at this moment in time, it does not look like the governor himself can actually arrest anyone. He can direct the attorney general to look into the situation and maybe law enforcement itself, depending on where they're at. But I'm not seeing where that is actually the case. However, we are going to look at this, and I do have my own issues with me personally. I think DeSantis is a little overrated. It's an unpopular take, but I don't mind saying it. But I want people to know right now, if you're a DeSantis voter, that's okay. I'm talking about the DeSantis simps on Twitter, like Cardillo and Max Nordau. Those guys are pretty well cringe. If you're on Twitter, you'll see that. Now, with that there being said, let's go ahead and take a look at this. We're probably only going to look at about half of the whole video itself because there's probably going to be ads and it'll be very, very long. If there's a sudden jump cut, it's probably because an ad did, in fact, play during the time of this video. So let's go ahead and look at this.
Ron DeSantis' administration in Florida has approved a rule banning the teaching of gender identity and sexual orientation through the 12th grade.
Now that right there is a win. I need to go ahead and stop right there. That is an absolute win. I gave DeSantis hell about not going far enough on this bill. So I'm kind of saying, hey, look, I'm glad he did this. So I want to go ahead and just give him a win for that, all right? So that way you guys can know that I am completely fair when it comes to this topic.
A lot of people are cheering for this, saying it was the right move. And, well, I agree to a certain extent. We should not have in these schools kids under a certain age being taught about what I would describe as kink. I'm concerned that Ron DeSantis isn't actually doing anything. I'm in kind of a bad mood, I got to be honest. In my last segment, I talked about Jazz Jennings' mom. And after wrapping this up, I feel a lot of rage. Because it's not just Jazz Jennings' mother. It's also that doctor. There's that doctor who wants to eat the teats, she describes it. I believe she's also in Florida. And so I just started thinking, is this what we get Ron DeSantis? Look, man, I like what Ron DeSantis does. But is this it? I'm not going to vote for that. I will tell you right now. Ron DeSantis can't just do these, we're going to pass a rule saying no teacher is teaching about this one thing and then walk away. Because you have much more horrifying stories, like the story of Jazz Jennings' mother and what this woman has done to Jazz. And I don't, for the life of me, understand why Ron DeSantis has not pursued criminal charges against these people. Now, don't get me wrong. Apparently, they have banned a lot of these practices, and they will begin going after people. But I'm pretty sure outside of that, you have easy criminal charges against these people.
Really quick, before we go any further, I need to say this right here, and I'm going to try to keep the commentary down a lot more than usual. I need to say this. A while back, the drag shows were being shown. I want to say it was the Hyatt Hotel in Miami Beach, and they had a drag show in front of children that was going on. Now, my contention is that you have a supermajority in the state of Florida, a super Republican majority, a lot like what's going on here in North Carolina. I did a video on that earlier today, and I mentioned the fact that the Republican legislation here in North Carolina is trying to get through a bill to Governor Cooper, who, by the way, is a do-nothing governor. He's sorry. He hasn't signed not one bit of legislation since he has been the governor of the state in close to 2 full terms. And Republicans in this state have the power to completely overturn whatever veto he has. It's that big of a majority. DeSantis has that type of majority, or damn near that type of majority, in the state of Florida. So why not just ban the drag queen shows in front of kids outright? Instead, what he chose to do was revoke their licenses. And it was the mostly peaceful Latinas podcast who exposed that they were still serving liquor there. And this is one of the reasons why I think he's so overrated. Now, if you can put a stop, now, like I said, if you want to do drag, go right ahead. If you want to do drag queen shows, go right ahead. Just don't do them in front of kids. Please keep that shit away. And I've also told you guys on several occasions that I blame the parents more than I do the drag queens themselves. They're doing that there, but they're obviously getting paid. God knows what people will do for money. They shouldn't be doing it. I just want to go make it perfectly clear right now. You shouldn't be doing that crap. But I blame the parents more for carrying their children to these events. Ron could very, very easily have the whole thing shut down, from what I understand, or at least to direct people to do that, and then pass some laws and actually impose an actual sentence and an actual punishment. All he did was revoke the licenses, and people were saying, well, it'll actually hurt. But let me go ahead and remind you right now, the people who said this will actually hurt that company are the likes of Clay Travis, someone who voted for Obama twice and then voted for Gary Johnson in 2016. These are the people who are directing Republican strategy now. Think about that. Just take that into consideration. Tim was actually relatively consistent when that issue came out. I'll try to find that video and put it in the description box for you guys so that you guys can kind of see what I'm saying. But I understand his anger. Now, as far as DeSantis not being in control in Florida, I think what's going on is that DeSantis is in control in Florida, but I don't think he's in charge of his campaign. Now, granted, he's not announced that he's running for president, but I'm pretty sure we all know him campaigning in Ohio, and him being in Ohio when a storm hit Fort Lauderdale and flooded the area. I'm pretty sure that his mind may be somewhere else, if you guys are catching up on my drift.
The weirdest thing. You get a doctor who prescribes a double mastectomy to a teenager, and then Ron DeSantis and the administration comes out and says, okay, yeah, that you can't do that anymore. The legislature in Florida says this is illegal. Okay, I get it. Doctor prescription. But I don't know. I don't know. If a doctor prescribed the amputation of a healthy body part, what is it, civil? No, seriously, serious question. It may be. It may be. If a person goes to a doctor, the doctor says you got an infection, we got to remove your arm, then they do, and the person says you were wrong. It's a civil suit. The doctor being wrong isn't a criminal action. That I understand. Now they've made it criminal. But the thing about Jazz Jennings' mom, I think, just crosses the line into overt criminal activity, and I don't understand how it's persisted this long. Ron DeSantis must do something. Let me first show you the news here. And we'll talk about where I'm going with this. Actually, you know what? You get it. That's the news. Florida bans teaching of gender identity and sexuality through the 12th grade. I don't care. I really don't. Here's what I see. I'm going to play this clip for you. I played it in the last segment. I'm going to play it again because this one, it really makes me angry. It makes me very angry.
But with her, I'm worried about like her mental well-being and her dilation. The minute she leaves my house, we have a dilation problem.
That is a concern. When you don't have that watchful eye, they tend to go back to old patterns.
I have woken Jazz out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will. But Jazz is bad, even when I'm home once a day. I would be so mad if she goes away to college and that thing seals up. I will wring her neck.
I can't. I've seen this clips from a while ago, and I just don't, for the life of me, understand how Ron DeSantis has not initiated criminal charges against this woman. I genuinely don't. We have nothing but feckless leaders. I guess Ron DeSantis wants to be president. Is that why? I'm over it. Look, I know I have my disagreements with people like Michael Malice over the extent to which the state should intervene. But
let me say this really quick before we go any further. DeSantis is trying to run for president. Don't be fooled. There's a reason why the polls keep coming out. And in most of these polls, he's not exactly ahead. I keep telling people all the time that maybe what you should do is go check out interactive polls on Twitter. They do a very good job of putting all the polls together. It's almost like a Real Clear Politics average for Twitter. I think they do a very good job. They don't average everything out, but they do a pretty good job. Now, as I've said before, I somewhat agree with Razorfist's take on DeSantis running and primarying Trump. I understand where he's coming from, but I can only benefit him. But at the same time, I'm kind of like, dude, maybe what you should do is stay in Florida and do exactly what most people wanted you to do. And of course, while I'm recording this, I'm also doing screenshots of the polls to edit in, so you'll probably get them here in a second. And I understand it's very early, but it may be best that you focus in on your state. And I think that the other day with what happened with the flood in Fort Lauderdale, I think that was further proof that I'm still not there. Okay, you just go ahead and call me a Trump, which by the way, they're going to call you a Trump cultist or a DeSantis cultist regardless. They're going to call you that anyway. So just go ahead and embrace it. Tim, I think he's been really hitting hard on this issue, mostly due to the fact that he's had Matt Walsh on, and don't get me started because I got disagreements with him too, but I do agree 100% with Matt Walsh on the trans issue. The thing is this right here. The issue here is exactly how far these parents are going and they're doing to their kids. Now, me personally, I think that this practice should be outlawed completely. I'm talking about parents having their kids. Like if you want to transition beyond a certain age, when you're actually an adult living outside your home, okay. You got gender dysphoria, I get it. But in the case of what's going on here, I 100% agree with Tim. This woman should be arrested. But DeSantis himself really and truly can't do anything about this, okay? The most he can do is maybe direct somebody to look into the case and possibly arrest them on the basis of child abuse. However, what Ron should have done a long time ago was he should have banned this outright, even in his first term. Now, guys, a lot of the things that DeSantis has signed here recently, the abortion ban at 6 weeks, a lot of this stuff is padding for his presidential platform. That's what this is. He's going to try to outrun Donald Trump from the right. It's not going to work. I can go ahead and tell you that right now. I may even do more videos on that in the future. The thing is this right here, though. He's doing all this permitless carry in Florida, which, by the way, they told you was constitutional carry. It's not. Langley Outdoors Academy got that one 100% incorrect, which is strange because it's a channel that I relied upon until about maybe 4 or 5 months ago. The thing is this right here. He's doing a lot of this crap here just for political purposes at the start of his second term to carry it into his presidential campaign. I hate to tell you this, guys, but most of the stuff that he's doing is at the end of the day not going to be accepted on the national stage. Now, me personally, I am ultra pro Second Amendment, ultra pro life. However, I'm also a guy who understands political strategy. Okay, and I can tell you right now, nothing that he has signed would work on the stage. What he needs to do is he needs to focus in on his own state and take care of an issue like this. So far, Tim Pool's anger is 100% justified, but I do believe he's 100% wrong, however, on having this person arrested.
I'm not an anarchist, and I'm not a big L libertarian. I am a traditional liberal, and I lean into the libertarian spectrum, meaning, for the most part, live and let live. But here we have a story of a woman who took her male child, castrated him with chemicals, and now you have the expression of the most extreme degree of this story. That is, this woman has publicly stated to the world, Jazz Jennings, a biological male with plastic surgery to create an open wound that must be pried apart with a dilator, is resisting that treatment. This warrants a criminal investigation. Let me, please, Media Matters, for the love of all that is holy, write this one up and plaster it all over your website, because I'm done. I'm sick of this stuff. If Jazz Jennings does not want to place a medical device into a pelvic wound and pry it open, that is the prerogative, that is the life of Jazz Jennings. If this woman is saying she will choke her unless she does this, at what point does Ron DeSantis do something? I'm confused by this. I'm genuinely confused by this. Maybe Ron just doesn't know. That's fair. I won't assume that everybody knows everything all the time. I'm seeing this again. We talked about it a few weeks ago. It is a very, very disturbing video. I'm going to play it again.
Before we play the video, Tim, I need you to know something right now, because this is one of the main issues, the main disconnects that I've had with Tim. Tim, you really need to learn civics. You talk about civics on your channel from time to time, dude. You really need to understand that something like this can really, for the most part, only be done by legislation. Like I said, I understand your anger, and I do agree 100% with your anger. This crap's got to stop. But simply saying arresting is not going to work, okay? He can't actually have her arrested. He can have someone look into the case, but the Attorney General and whoever the hell law enforcement is, they're the ones who ultimately make the decision. What's going to happen here, dude, is that you're going to have to urge him to sign legislation to put an end to this crap, make it illegal. That's the case here, is actual legislation. That's one of the main reasons why I think that civics needs to be taught to kids at a very young age. We need to be teaching our kids civics and not about drag queens, okay? We need to be teaching our kids about civics, how the law works, how legislation works. Make it as simple as possible. That's the problem. We don't know civics. I understand your anger, Tim. I agree 100% with hell. I'm angry right now trying to keep it together while behind the mic. But Tim, you need to understand that this is something that's got to be done legislatively. Maybe you should call him out over that there. Ban this crap. That right there is what you need to do, especially seeing how he's got a supermajority in his home state. By the way, a lot of people in Florida are not endorsing DeSantis for some reason. They're actually endorsing Trump. We'll get to that here soon.
For you.
Out of a dead sleep and taken the dilator and put the lubrication on it and said, here, you take this and you put it in your vagina. If not, I will. But
Put it in or I will. That's a threat of violence against an adult human person, right? For what purpose does Jazz Jennings have to pry open a pelvic wound? There's only one. So that another human being, male, can place his penis inside of the wound for sexual gratification. I can't see, I mean, it's mind-blowing to me that this kind of thing persists in this day and age. If you go back in time, you talk about a mother who's got a son locked up and forcing the kid to do weird things. I mean, the state intervenes and arrests these people. How is this any different?
It's just out, I guess, that Ron DeSantis is not quite as popular in Florida as people thought. I assume, among other things, that they don't want their Social Security cut or their Medicare cut. Can't do that, Ron.
Jazz is resisting this. Okay, you want to make an argument about a doctor prescribed it and Jazz went through with it, fine, but Jazz was a minor child who could not consent to being castrated. You want to talk about, well, the child and the parent made a decision on the okay, fine. Jazz is now a human adult, and this warrants an investigation. Jazz is a human adult whose mother admits to saying, stick this into a wound and pry it open or I will. Imagine what would happen if a man said on TV that he goes to his wife in the middle of the night and grabs an object, lubricates, and says, you stick this in you or I'll do it. That person would immediately be investigated or arrested. How is this any different? Imagine a video of a man saying, if that woman, if he says his wife does not do this, he would wring her neck. How would that not warrant an investigation? And this is...
Like I said, legislation. Dude, you've got the frickin' supermajority in the Senate and Congress, both in that state. Ban these practices outright. Okay, Tennessee did it, but then again, though, Tennessee also screwed up and considered red flag laws afterwards. Ban this shit outright. Texas did it. Why can't you do it? And you got a bigger supermajority in that state. Yes, Tim, your anger is 100% justified here, but you need to be telling him to do this through legislation or at least direct. So, as I've said before, the governor himself cannot actually have someone arrested. But this is another reason why it is. I keep telling people that DeSantis is extremely over-freaking-rated. Even the Disney issue they keep telling us he won on was not even really a full win. We'll do the video on that at a later date. Fact of the matter is that you've got the legislation. You can ban these practices outright, make it illegal, and lock people up for it. That's what you need to be doing.
We are. So here's where I'm at. I see this story. And I'm just like, I don't care. Look, in schools, if they say if you're in third grade or below, we don't teach this stuff, I say, makes sense to me. If you're then like, okay, now 4th to 12th grade, we don't teach it. I'm kind of like, okay, I guess, whatever. They go to explain that this does not blanket ban everything. There can be sex education if the parents opt for it, and that makes sense to me.
First of all, this stuff right here that they were teaching the kids, this gender stuff, this whole LGBTQ curriculum, this stuff, of course, you got the genderqueer books. The same thing happened in North Carolina, and the Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson got right on it and got that crap out of the schools right away. Florida waited a little while, then made a stink of it, went only to the 3rd grade to only now ban it to the 12th grade. Here's my personal feeling on this. If you want to teach sex ed to kids, teach sex ed to kids once they get to like those puberty years. But make it very, very basic. Everything else these kids need to kind of learn from their parents or on their own, which, by the way, most kids learn it on their own anyways. But here's the problem. the whole gender, queer, LGBTQ, trans curriculum crap they've been doing, and Tim's been on this for a while, especially with that debate with Destiny where he brought it up to him about the butt plugs and crap like that. That stuff right there in my opinion, should not be taught in any school K through 12. That crap right there should be maybe taught at best at the collegiate level as an elective as far as gender studies. This crap right here does not need to be anywhere near a school, at least K through 12, period. I don't even, like I said, I cringe to even say college as an elective. Tim's 100% correct on this one. And as I said before, and I railed on this right here after that bill was signed, the quote-unquote Don't Say Gay bill, which was really the Parental Rights Act, I railed against this. Dude, you did not go far enough. And you've had people like Sean Fitzgerald and a lot of conservative commentators on the platform, libertarians, saying they praise DeSantis for outwitting the difference. No. It's not about outwitting your opponent. It's about beating your opponent outright and actually correcting things. That right there is what the hell this entire thing is about. But now you're only doing this because you're trying to pad your record. The closer and closer and closer you look into this individual, the more and more full of shit you see he is.
What we've been seeing in these schools is kink education, books showing butt plugs and things like that. That's not sex ed. That should all be banned, period. I agree with Ron DeSantis on that one. I just don't understand how we've gotten to this point where this video has persisted. And there's also another video that I should pull up for you. Let me I should have pulled this up prior to this, because I did this in the last segment. Let me pull up this other video so you can see just the extent to which the abuse goes. And I'm just pissed. Look, let me put it this way. I tweeted, I am demanding the Ron DeSantis administration immediately begin the pursuit of criminal charges against the mother of Jazz Jennings. After watching that video, I want to play another video for you. Here's another one.
So, are you feeling like you wanted to start talking about? Are you okay?
I'm okay.
I'm like going to cry. But
You know I can't get out of my head.
I know. No, listen.
It just doesn't stop.
It's okay. Give me a hug. It's okay. I know what you're going through. We've been there before.
No, it still doesn't stop now. And I'm already going back to negative.
But the more you're talking about yourself, it gets harder. You're digging in and it's making you put a magnifying glass on what's already difficult as it is.
First of all, if you've got gender dysphoria or your child's got gender dysphoria, you need to be getting them help first before you do anything actual honest help. You see, they love to use this emotional hostage situation crap where they decide to say, well, your child's going to commit suicide if you don't let them transition. Bullshit. That's not what the hell's going to happen. Sometimes kids do stuff like that, right? They say, oh my God, if I can't be a girl, I'm going to die. They do that crap right there to be dramatic. Okay, parents don't know how to parent anymore. How about this right here? When your child is out of line, spank them. Discipline your child. That's one way you could do it. I mean, if your child is having serious, honest-to-God issues, though, thinking that they've got gender issues, like they identify as another sex, then maybe what you should do is, I don't know, maybe like let them grow out of it first before you decide to cut their freaking genitals off. I just figured I'd go ahead and throw that out there.
So this is hard for you, I know, and we don't want to push you
I
anymore.
know I'm the one doing it. Like,
I know, you're your own worst enemy.
I feel kind of all over the place and like my mind is very cluttered and not clear. And I really want to have that clarity. I really want to understand myself and be able to read my own soul and what I want. And it's just very challenging. And I think I'm kind of breaking down a little bit and spiraling into negativity.
So here's a video showing Jazz Jennings saying that they don't feel like themselves. I think, is there more?
I just want to feel like myself. Like, that's
Right.
it. I don't
Like the
care.
old Jazz?
All I want is to be happy and feel like me. And I don't.
Okay, now let me tell you right now what I'm hearing right now. Let me tell you exactly what the hell I'm hearing. I want to feel like myself. Let me say this to you right quick. Everybody would like to remember, regardless of whether they want to admit to it or not, everyone would love to remember who the hell they were as a child, who the hell they were before they became the person that they are. For a long time, I did too. I wanted to know who the hell I was before I joined the Marines. I wanted exactly who I was before I made the sudden Billy Badass turn in my life. I'd like to know what type of kid I really and truly was. I'd like to know that. You did this to this child at an extremely young age, and their life, for the most part, is over, okay? We can't mention the S word here on YouTube anymore without getting hit, with some type of algorithmic, being in the algorithmic doldrums. But the fact of the matter is this here. When you do this to someone, they're already traumatized going into this procedure. That's one of the reasons why the statistics, which by the way we're still waiting on, could show a higher spike in trans offing of themselves post-surgery. As I have said on multiple occasions, most people get around someone like this and they see the agenda and they also don't understand why anyone would do this. So automatically the trans person is already ostracized and alienated from society right off the bat. By encouraging this behavior, Vosh, Destiny, and all you radical leftists, you are actually aiding in these people's eventual self-offing. You're not helping that community. You are actually hurting that community. You are actually killing that community, you bigoted SOBs.
Feel like me ever.
I don't feel like me ever. I'll tell you what I think. No point in holding back. Jazz Jennings is not transgender. Jazz Jennings is a child who did not understand what transgender was 3 years old, I believe, when the family decided Jazz was trans, and then began the social transition at 7, and, excuse me.
That is way too damn early to do any of this crap. That is way too damn early, okay? You need to allow your child to actually grow up. Get at least into the late teen years. Wait till after the age of at least 18 to 19 years old, okay? Now, let me tell you how I would approach this if I was a parent. If I just could not, under any circumstances, and I want you guys to know right now, I've got members of my family that are LGBTQ. So I'm not anti-gay. I'm anti the wokeness. I'm anti the woke crap around our kids. Let me tell you how I would approach this. You think you're another gender? Okay. Well, you're going to grow out of this, is what you're going to do. If you don't grow out of this, guess what? I'm not paying for you to get the surgery, and you're not going in and getting the surgery under no circumstances. The government's not going to force me to do this. So when you're off on your own, and maybe you want to do this, then guess what? You're going to pay for it. I'm not going to like it, but you're going to pay for it. This is you. You want to eradicate, you want to erode, and by the way, as a father, I'll continue to fight all the way to the end to keep them from doing it, because that's what a responsible parent would do all the way to the end of their life. But at the same time, that I will never, under any circumstances, pay for my child to transition under any damn circumstance, okay? And all you people who may come in the comment section say, you'd be a very, very bad parent. You would allow your child to, I already know what the hell's going on. When a child says, oh, if I can't be a girl, I'd die. I'd already know, like I said before, they're being melodramatic. They are being children is what the hell they're doing. Let them be kids and grow the hell out of this nonsense.
Medical transition, I believe, happened around 11 years old. This isn't so much the story of a single individual, right? The left likes to say, oh, but it's one person. Oh, it doesn't happen that much. Yeah, I think if one person is murdered, it's a problem. Right now, the left is complaining about the shooting of Ralph Yarl, which appears to be a justified shooting, albeit a tragedy. I don't want these things to happen. I feel bad for this kid. I hope he's okay. But if you try to enter someone's home in Missouri, they have a right to use force against you. I wish it did not happen. But it's one person. So they want to be mad about it. That's fine. I'll be mad about this person and say, we don't want this to happen to anyone else. Jazz Jennings clearly doesn't feel like themselves. Something's wrong. Jazz Jennings recently, it was revealed, began dating women. I think Jazz, as I've predicted years ago and even now, is starting to realize this is not who they were meant to be. And this was forced upon them. Why is it that Jazz Jennings is dating women? Perhaps because Jazz is attracted to women, because Jazz is a biological male, and 99% of biological males are attracted to biological females. I shouldn't even say biological, just a male attracted to a female. When Jazz was, early on in the show, Jazz was prepubescent. Jazz stated they were, that Jazz said that they were attracted to boys. After the typical age of puberty, Jazz said that they were pan. I predicted this was Jazz starting to realize that they were, in fact, attracted to females. Now, at, I think, 23 or 22 years old, Jazz is dating females. I think this shows Jazz is not trans. That's my view of this. You can see in this video the mother gaslighting Jazz, saying it's you. You're doing this. You're doing this. When Jazz is simply saying, I want to feel like me, but I never do. Interesting. You take a look at that video of Jazz's mother saying, if you don't stick this in, I will. That says to me that, one, Jazz doesn't want to be doing this. Jazz is depressed and undergoing some kind of trauma, not feeling like who they're supposed to be, and dating women. I think it's fairly obvious. The mother is psychologically torturing and physically abusing her male child.
Exactly. Now, guys, this is where I want to end this portion here. I will be leaving the full episode in the description box, of course, like always, and I'll give you guys my last thoughts in the next section of the video, which, by the way, won't last very long. Tim Pool's anger is 100% justified. I'm angry about it, too. I even got a little bit angry here reacting to this. Obviously, he's upset, and he should be upset. As I've said before, kids need to be allowed to grow up first and grow up definitely beyond the age of 7 before they decide anything. Parents need to stop letting kids hold them emotionally hostage, and parents need to stop going to whack job psychiatrists and psychologists who tell them to transition their kids. They need to stop that shit. All right, you go ahead and say that right now. I'm supposed to not say a single word just then, cuss word anyways, because YouTube also doesn't respond well to that. But let me say this right here. Your anger towards DeSantis, I understand, is justified to a certain degree. It is to a certain degree. But if you're going to be angry with him, it should be anger about the fact that why the hell did you not get this legislation taken care of where you could have banned this practice outright of parents doing this? You could have locked these people up. You did not sign this legislation. Instead, you focus more and more and more on padding your resume to look good to voters on the right, who, by the way, still love Trump according to that polling data. You focus more and more on that right there. As I've been saying for a long time, this guy is 100% completely over-freaking-rated. Now, let me go ahead and get to the last part of this video. Now, as I said during that whole 20-some-odd minutes, Tim's anger is 100% justified. I'm angry myself to see stuff like this right here. And I've said before that what you should be doing, and like I said, the governor, to our knowledge, cannot personally have people arrested. However, the state's attorney general can have people look into it and actually can get law enforcement to go look into that, depending on who the district attorney is. But still, at the same time, this woman should obviously be arrested, this woman who obviously abused her child. Now, here's the deal. I have been saying for a while that this right here is something that needs to be done legislatively. And if you have a supermajority, you need to actually ban this type of practice. As I mentioned before, the revocations of licenses, that was not enough. You should have had laws put in place, and you should have done that in your first term. Dude, you won by 20 freaking points. Of course, I have, let's just put it this way here. When you look at who's been moving into that state, you'll probably understand why. Fact of the matter is that this right here is just more proof of him being over freaking rated. All right? Now, I understand some DeSantis fans are going to be pissed off about this. That's okay. You're allowed to be pissed off with me. Great. Good to go. We can have that discussion any day. But, of course, the Twitter bots, the John Cardillos, now the Jebba Ellises, who, by the way, wants to have people sued over memes, the same people who, well, I'll get to it in a second before I close the video. What else have we got here? Oh, yeah, that's right. Max Nordau, Christina Pushaw, those people there. Yeah, those people there. And, of course, Clay Travis. He's another one. I did a video on him earlier, his conversation with Stephen A. Smith, and why it is that how the hell is that somebody took Rush Limbaugh's spot, the great Rush Limbaugh, but yet they voted for Obama twice and Gary Johnson in 2016. And also Buck Sexton did as well. We got to listen to that constant push of what is probably the most overrated governor in the country right now. Yes, he's a great governor, but he's extremely overrated. Just like Tom Brady was a great quarterback, he was also overrated when you look at the numbers. Yeah, go ahead and call me crazy. I don't care. But I do need to answer one last thing. Guys, you remember the other day when I released a video on Don Jr.'s very, very bad take when it came to Anheuser Busch? Well, that was a very bad take by him. Okay. Well, the minute that happened, you had Benny Johnson in this video go interview DeSantis. And
Your
DeSantis,
take on the boycott.
course,
So you just brought up Anheuser Busch. Bud Light's getting hit as hard as I've ever seen
Why
it.
would you want to drink Bud Light? I mean, like, honestly, that's like them rubbing our faces in it. And it's like these companies that do this, if they never have any response, they're just going to keep doing it. So if you as a consumer are like, yeah, they're basically, and I mean, it's such a fraud with what they're doing with that. Like, yeah, they're doing that, but I'm just going to keep drinking it anyways.
So.
Well, then they're...
You know, I'm trying to think, like, what would I do if I had...
Because there's plenty of photos of you, like the famous COVID one with you drinking the beer, right, with the bikers.
That was a Budweiser.
That was a Budweiser.
So
they've
yeah.
lost a customer.
Yeah, I think so. But you know, my wife and I, they don't have it here. If we ever go out to just have a beer, which admittedly we don't have the ability to do that like we used to,
Yeah.
you know, we actually like the stout, the Guinness. Yeah.
He also, at the very, very end there, said that he would prefer a Guinness to a Bud Light. Guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but this right here was an ad that was put out by the company that makes Guinness.
Ah, ¿vais a venir? Pues claro, estupendamente. Aquí estamos.
I survive, the way and wherefore I'm alive, the one I'll care for through the rough and ready years. Me, I'll take her laughter and her tears. For where she goes, I've got to be. The meaning of my life is.
Totally not woke, right? Decided to come out against Bud Light. Good to go. Awesome. Great. Great. There's a problem though, Ron. A serious problem. And I mean a serious problem. This right here. You were getting all kinds of donations from Anheuser Busch. Trump got them too. However, Trump, it's a little bit weird. You see, Trump got his donations in 2016. He got his donations in 2020 before Anheuser Busch completely went fully woke. As I detailed in the previous video, Anheuser Busch was going fully woke in 2021 and 2022. It all started, of course, you can see with the Seth Rogen, Amy Schumer ad and the gay marriage ad and all that stuff right there. Ron, you were getting those donations when that crap was going on. So it sounds to me like a good old-fashioned saying here in the South has once again been proven true. This right here looks like the pot calling the kettle black. And there's a reason why you are getting your ass completely handed to you in these polls. And by the way, some of those polls, the numbers looked actually that way before Trump's indictment. Just figure I would throw that out there. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like this content, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section. I'd love to get you guys' thoughts, and I'll see you guys later.